Welcome to Fortress of Faith with Tom Wallace, calling North America to repentance and revival.
Welcome back once again to the Corner of Truth and Courage. You're listening to Fortress of Faith. This is Tom Wallace. I want to begin with a Bible verse. We're going to be talking about Britain today, the examples of the mistakes that they've made, to be a heads up, a warning for us here in North America, in the United States and Canada. We need to learn the lessons and the mistakes of Europe, because if we are not careful, we are going to be, we're already following the same pattern, and we're going to end up in the same place if we're not careful. I want to begin, though, with a Bible verse, Acts chapter 18, verse number 9. Be not afraid, but speak, and hold not thy peace, for I am with thee. The Lord gave these words to the Apostle Paul, preparing him and warning him persecution is coming. Don't be afraid. Be bold, speak, and hold not thy peace. Don't refrain. Don't practice self-censorship. Don't hide. Don't hold your light under a bushel. Be bold and speak the truth. Stand for righteousness. Stand for what is right. Well, Britain and Europe has been on a pathway of losing their nationality, their national identities, due to immigration. Now, I'm not against immigration. I was an immigrant for many, many years of my life. I lived 29 years of my life overseas, actually in Britain. I was a guest, although it felt for me like it was my home. I miss it terribly. I think a lot the same way the British do. I was programmed with that. I went to school there. I grew up over there as a kid and later went back as an adult and ministered for a number of years as church planting missionaries, my wife and I. But I began to see a decline. It was a joke in a way at first. My wife and I, we would go down to London and we would play Spot the Brit. In a way, in a sense, it was kind of a funny joke because it seemed like London was being taken over by foreign-born people, and very few white British indigenous people were running businesses, where you just saw a cosmopolitan of people from all around the world. And it was like, well, do any white British people live here anymore? And this was 20 years ago. I left the country 16 years ago. So 20, 30 years ago, we began to see this. It was noticeable. Well, Peter Whittle, who's a UK politician, finally Britain is come to a point where we've seen a two-tier type of governing things going on, policing. It seems like immigrants have more rights than the citizens, the indigenous citizens of their own nation. And the white British nationals, they've had enough. Their rights and justices have been trampled on. And one of the biggest things that is quite obvious, foreign nationals are able to fly flags representing other governments and other positions that are not indigenous and natural to the land, and they're allowed to do it. Now, they have laws about flying flags. You're allowed on private property to fly a flag, but it seems like the St. George's flag, which is the English flag, the white flag with the red stripe, and then the Union Jack, which is the British flag, is a combination of Scotland and Wales and England and a bit of Northern Ireland all thrown into one. That's the most common, that blue flag with the red cross on it there. And, what we recognize as the British flag. You're not allowed to fly them. It seems like you're restricted from flying them. But, if you've got a cause for Palestine, if you're anti-Israel and you're going to support Palestine, you can fly those flags for months and months and months. Even on public light posts, they're getting away with it. And the British are saying, hold on a minute. We want to make a statement that we have the right to fly our flag. If you're going to let them fly these flags, we should fly our flag. And guess who they're coming down on? Again and again. They keep coming down on the nationals, the indigenous British people. Saying, no, you can't do that. That's going to offend our immigrants. We don't want you to do that. You can't fly that flag. It's going to be an offense to them. And so the government is taking down the British flag, the English flag, and the people's like, hold on a minute, what are you doing? Are you kidding me? You're going to let them fly the Palestinian flag and all these other flags, but you're not going to let us fly our flag? Well, a revolt has begun. And this has been a long time coming. And I've been warning about this because anger has been brewing for some time when you see injustice like this. Let me play a few clips from Peter Whittle. Now, the recording, I took it off the internet, off YouTube, and he had music playing over some of these things, and it didn't allow us to hear him well. So we've kind of washed the music off. And so part of this recording is a little dodgy, but you can hear, listen carefully, what he's going to say.
It is no exaggeration to say that recently there's been no more shocking flag to see in England than the English one. We have become entirely accustomed to the flags of Ukraine, Palestine, Pakistan, India, Israel, BLM, the EU, and of course, the most sacred of all flags, the flag of the New Britain, the Progress Pride flag, which represents just about everyone except straight white men. But raise the English flag and all hell breaks loose.
Here's where I think he waxes eloquent. Listen carefully to what he is saying.
If the raising of your national flag in your own country is a bold act of rebellion, then you are either living under occupation or under the boot of an institutionally treacherous state.
Did you catch what he said? If raising your national flag is an act of rebellion, if that is an offensive thing to raise your national flag, and that's considered like a rebellious thing to do in your nation, if you're a rebel to do that, then you've either been taken over by foreign occupation, or your institution, your government, has lost its marbles, has become an enemy of the state. Wow, pretty much that's the situation going on in England. And this is not just for England. We're seeing this in many other European nations, that the national people are crying out to say, enough is enough. All this immigration, and these people have not assimilated into our countries. You know, they're supposed to be here to help us improve, to be an improvement. We've got rights here. And that's pretty much what Peter Whittle makes a statement of. That. So what's been going on in the country is that they've had a rebellion going on against their own government, and people are taking to the streets and raising flags, saying a statement to the country saying, we're not going to let you do this to our country. Enough's enough, and we're taking our country back. It's our nation. It doesn't belong to the foreigners. They're welcome to stay here, but you come here legally, and if you don't come here legally, we're going to throw you out. But if you are a foreign national, this is our land. It's ours. You're welcome to stay here only if you join with us, not try to divide us and change us. Here's what he says in conclusion.
In raising their flags across the country, the message of the English has been quite clear. This land is not a refugee camp. It is not UN territory. It is a nation, It is England. It took us 1,000 years to build it, and it's ours. It is not a dumping ground for Syrian rapists, Afghani terrorists, or Sudanese machete gangs. They have no business here. Immigrants should be a benefit to the British, as many are, not the butchers of our schoolgirls, nor the violent clannish predators of hostile and alien lands. We are done with all this, and we're done pretending otherwise. The English are finally waking up, and a generational slumber is coming to an end. What they have awoken to is an existentially alarming sight, and there are no paths forward without significant difficulties.
We've been seeing this build up for quite some time, this two-tier system of justice. Immigrants get away with everything. And when the nationalists stand up and speak out against the injustice, they're the ones who get arrested and thrown in jail. We're seeing people like Tommy Robinson, who's been speaking against the Muslim invasion for quite some time, being falsely thrown in jail, left, right, and center for taking a stand and being courageous to speak. Although he's not always acted correctly in the early days, I now see him as a victim of, he's a political prisoner. That's what's going on in Britain today. And the reaction of the people under the Southport killings of the foreign, well, Axel Rudolph was actually born in Britain, but his parents were foreign born. But then he goes out and stabs and murders, and I didn't realize this. The ones he stabbed them multiple times. I mean, it's just the crime was so vicious, and the government came down hard on anyone who suggested he was Muslim, even though we now know he was practicing Islam. He had the Al Qaeda terrorist handbook in his room. He had ricin planning bigger attacks, and anything suggesting that he was a part of an immigrant. Well, he was a family of immigrants. His folks came in that way. We need to heed the advice of Edmund Burke, and we need to speak out sooner here in America and Canada before it gets too late, like what is happening in Europe. I'm afraid the pushback over there is going to have to be met with violence. I don't condone it. I don't want that. I'm not suggesting that's the way it goes. I hope it doesn't. I hope they can find a peaceful resolve for the people, the Europeans, to claim back their land, but the immigrants aren't going to let them, I don't think. And we're facing that same danger here. But Edmund Burke said, all that's necessary for the triumph of evil is for good men to do nothing. We need to stop being cowards. We need to speak up. We need to be encouraged like Paul was being encouraged. Be not afraid, but speak, and hold not thy peace, for I am with thee. Righteousness and truth will stand, and we need to speak that, but speak it with truth, speak it with love, and give no offense, that the ministry be not blamed. Don't do it in an offensive manner that's going to bring disrespect on God. But as Christians, we need to have the courage to stand up and to speak against injustices that are going on. Oh, there's so much more that I want to bring into this conversation, but we're going to have to pick up on this tomorrow. I hope you join us again tomorrow at the Corner of Truth and Courage. God bless you.